This audiobook explains the book of energy control, an ancient method for mastering life through the manipulation of energy vibrations. As you listen, you will come to realize the reality. Energy doesn't just surround you. It responds to all of your thoughts and feelings. You are in control of your own fate. The book on energy control. Introduction. In the silent web of life, energy is not a faraway mystery. It is the very breath of being heard. Each thought you have is a spark thrown into the endless tapestry of creation, and each feeling is a pulse that reverberates across unknown realms. The ancient sages knew the secret. You are not just an observer of the universe, but the very instrument through which it sings itself into existence. The law of attraction operates within this hallowed sphere of vibration. It listens to the resonance you convey rather than the words you speak. When your ideas coincide with your deepest aspirations and your emotions reflect the purity of your heart, the universe bends and forms itself to match your nature. For millennia, this knowledge has been hidden, passed down from teacher to disciple in whispers, guarded not to hide, but to respect its potency. Approaching it with avarice produces shadows. To embrace it with reverence awakens change. Your thoughts are not transitory clouds, but bright blueprints for reality. Your words are not just noises, but living decrees. Your emotions are magnetic currents, not transitory tides. Drawing life into shape is the same as mastering energy, and so creation. This mastery does not require force, but rather surrender and attunement to the unseen currents that carry everything. If you resist, you will cause chaos. If you follow a line, you will glide effortlessly through the everlasting flow. As the veil of forgetfulness lifts from the book of energy, control returns. Its wisdom is before you, as ancient as the stars, as fresh as this moment, waiting for the one who is ready to accept. However, before that, please like and let me know where you are watching from today. It's always exciting to see who joins us from across the world. Part 1. The Hidden Current of Creation. Chapter 1. The Murmur Beneath Every Thought. In ancient times, a shopkeeper named Chester lived, who spent his days complaining. At every turn, he found reason to lament his situation. The morning sun rose too early, disrupting his sleep. The evening air blew too hard, scattering his. Where is his competitor? His prices were too low, and he had too few clients. Chester's ideas, like a magnet attracting iron filings, drew similar experiences to him. When he complained about unreliable suppliers, supplies did arrive late. When he murmured about dishonest consumers, others tried to haggle or deceive. His predictions of tragedy proved remarkably accurate. Then, one day, tired of his own dissatisfaction, Chester began a simple practice. Every morning, he would pause to admire something tiny. The warmth of the sun on his cheek, the sound of birds greeting the day, and the smile of a passing child. At first, it felt hollow, like words without emotion. But as days went by, genuine thankfulness began to arise within him. Chester's surroundings gradually changed. His suppliers began arriving on time, bringing extra supplies as gifts. Customers sought him out, lured to the tranquil environment of his establishment. Even the weather appeared to accommodate his demands. Mabel, a weaver in a distant community, realized a similar fact on her daily walk to market. She would silently bless the people she passed. The baker displays his new loaves. The children are playing in the square. Even the stray cats you encountered. She expected nothing in return, sending her best wishes into the universal flow. However, the universe answered in kind. Unknown customers recommended her work in distant cities. Strangers assisted her with large weights without being asked. During a storm, which flooded numerous stores. Before she was even aware of the threat, neighbors raced to safeguard her wares. She spread kindness. Return multiplied, carried by invisible currents of energy. These stories demonstrate the accuracy with which the mind shapes experience, much like a musician whose instrument must be precisely tuned. Your ideas resonate through the fabric of reality, drawing events that correspond to their frequency. Complaints resonate with the energy of scarcity, adding additional grounds to complain. Gratitude pulsates with richness. unexpected blessings that draw you in. Sacred practice. Find a moment of complete calm before going to bed each night. Take 3 deep breaths, letting each transport you farther into presence with quiet assurance. Speak these words into stillness. My every idea is crafted for tomorrow. Allow this truth to settle not only in your intellect, but in every cell of your being. Feel the vibration of these words reverberating through the silence, knowing that they are already transforming the energy of your future. Chapter 2. The Weight of Resistance. And you're ready to learn the second significant fact about energy. Resistance produces the precise hurdles we want to overcome. This insight is revealed through the story of Ethel, whose urgent desire for promotion at her workplace became the very force that held her back. Every day, Ethel would arrive early, stay late, and work tirelessly. She focused unwaveringly on the position she coveted. Her shoulders tightened as she measured each action against a single goal. Her breath was shallow, her mind preoccupied with proving her value. However, the more strongly she pushed, the further her goal grew. Others, who appeared less qualified, seized opportunities while she stayed fixed in place, like a flower too tightly confined to bloom. The universe runs based on allowance rather than force. When you squeeze water, it slides between your fingers. When you dam a river, the pressure builds until the boundaries give way. Similarly, the flow of manifestation requires an open channel rather than a clenched fist. This truth was exposed during Raymond's therapeutic journey. For years, he battled his body's diseases, fighting each symptom and resisting each limitation, turning his existence into an endless war against what was once his home, which had become a fortress of treatments and restrictions. But health remained elusive. Then one day, Raymond stopped fighting. He let go of his expectations for how healing should look. He began to follow his body's wisdom rather than oppose it. He rested when he was tired without feeling guilty, ate what felt good without following strict restrictions, and let joy enter his life without waiting for perfect health. To his surprise, his body started to respond. Sleep came effortlessly, pain subsided, and vitality returned, not through force, but through flow. The tranquility that permeated his home drew healing on depths he had never believed possible. His family ties improved, laughing returned, and even his garden appeared to thrive more abundantly in this new environment of acceptance. These anecdotes highlight the dichotomy at the heart of manifestation. What you chase frequently flees, whereas what you release returns, transformed. This is not a passive resignation, but an active surrender. A higher level of expertise that allows you to connect with universal currents rather than resist them. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning, stand in silent reverence. Extend your palms high, a receptive gesture. I receive the flow by softly speaking these phrases. I can't use force. Envision. Streams of golden light stream down from above, filling your open hands and pouring straight to your heart. Allow this light to fade. Any resistance, pushing, or strain. Feel yourself becoming a clear channel for the universe's limitless resources. Chapter 3. The Echo of Desire. In the ancient wisdom scrolls, a story is found that reveals the complex interplay between desire and manifestation. Like Vernon, who strolled the streets with money in his fantasies but poverty in his thoughts, you may have observed how your deepest desires appear to clash with the reality in front of you. Observe attentively how Vernon's mind wandered ceaselessly in the valley of what he lacked, despite his lips speaking of wealth. His heart raced with the rhythm of deprivation. Each bill that arrived appeared to confirm his worst suspicions. Each expense strengthened his sense of constraint. The universe, as the perfect mirror, could only reflect what he had most persistently in his thoughts, the weight of his debts. This highlights a crucial aspect of energy's nature. It responds to your expectations rather than to what you want. Desire floats like leaves in the wind. However, when desire is combined with steadfast belief, it becomes an unstoppable force of nature. Harriet's tale vividly demonstrates this notion, as she underwent a modest but profound transformation after becoming preoccupied with empty bank accounts and mounting bills. Instead of letting her thoughts spiral into concern, she began to create a true sense of delight about money based on what she knew was possible, rather than what she had. She started small, taking pleasure in paying for her morning coffee. Rather than viewing bills as a burden, she saw them as confirmation that she could afford things that improved her life. This seemingly tiny change in viewpoint affected the frequency with which she broadcast to the universe. Soon, unexpected checks arrived in her mailbox. A forgotten deposit has been unearthed. Opportunities for additional income arose spontaneously. Even minor windfalls, refunds and discounts began to accrue. The cosmos replied not to her wishes, but to her newfound peace with abundance. Sacred practice. As the first light appears on the horizon each morning, find quiet. Allow these words to rise from your depths. I broaden my expectations. Feel each sentence echo not as a mere hope, but as an unchangeable law of your existence. Allow this truth to sink beneath the surface of the mind until it settles into the soil of perfect confidence. Chapter 4. The Unseen Magnet. This ancient instruction reveals a truth as old as the stars themselves. Like Clyde, you may have noticed how the words we speak cause ripples in the vast field of potential. However, these ripples are only surface movements. Underlying them flows a deeper channel of energy that cannot be fooled. Look at how Clyde's lips developed the shape of need for connection. His heart sang a song of isolation. "Nobody cares about me," he would say. And in doing so, he created an invisible barrier around his spirit. This barrier, albeit invisible to mortal eyes, radiated with such power that it turned away the very love he desired. Each repeat of his injured conviction increased this area until it became an impenetrable fortress, blocking the same warmth he desired to embrace. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not only to our words, but also to the energy signature we emit. This signature contains the truth about our deepest beliefs, anxieties, and expectations. It broadcasts incessantly, like a beacon in the night, attracting experiences that correspond to its frequency. Mildred's journey illustrates the opposite side of this eternal principle. When she focused her attention inward, she tended to her soul's garden with the same care as she would priceless flowers. Something spectacular began to unfold. She learned that by cultivating her inner light through meditation, self-acceptance, and kind self-talk, she began to emit a frequency of wholeness and calm. She no longer needed companionship, having become a living embodiment of the love she had always desired. People began to flock toward her, drawn by an invisible force they couldn't name but could feel. Her presence became a sanctuary for others to find comfort. She did not try to generate this impact. Instead, she linked herself with the most excellent vibration of all pure, unconditional love. This process exemplifies the fundamental law of energy. What we attract is determined by who we genuinely are rather than who we claim to be. The cosmos responds to our energy truth with mathematical precision, aligning our inner condition with our outer reality. Twilight descends, marking the end of the day's activities, signaling a sacred ritual. Settle into stillness. Stand in front of a mirror. Allow your attention to rest lightly on your reflection. In this moment of holy communion with your own spirit, silently acknowledge that I am drawn to love. I vibrate. Love. Feel these words not as a mere statement, but as a recognition of your inner being. Allow them to resound in every cell of your being. Recognize the magnetic force of love that you already are. Chapter 5. The Quiet Command in the Center of a Noisy Marketplace. A merchant named Irving spent his days yelling prices and bargaining with tenacity. His voice grew hoarse from incessant bartering, and his mind was exhausted from endless negotiations. Despite his strong attitude, riches appeared to slide through his fingers like grains of sand. Irving, tired by his efforts, was drawn to a peaceful temple garden one morning. Under an ancient tree, he saw an elderly sage move stones twice his size with careful touches and thoughtful pauses. The sage stated that the cosmos swears not to use force, but to whisper assurance. This fact pierced Irving's heart. He began to cultivate stillness in his interactions, letting calm confidence guide his actions rather than desperate passion. To his surprise, customers approached him naturally, captivated by his calm demeanor. His business thrived not via loud declarations, but by the magnetic power of his quiet confidence. Lorraine lived in another city and had always assumed that manifesting necessitated grand gestures and complicated rituals. To attract abundance, she would light several candles, chant for hours, and perform elaborate ceremonies. However, her anticipated consequences remained elusive. Lorraine whispered a single word of thanks one night, as she sat quietly in her garden. In that tranquil moment, she felt the entire cosmos align with her intentions. She learned that her gentlest prayers had a greater impact than all her previous theatrical efforts combined. Within a few weeks, she began to receive offers effortlessly. Business partnerships arose naturally. Relationships mended naturally, and answers arrived just when required. The secret was not in the amount of her requests, but in her serene power and conviction. These anecdotes reveal a fundamental reality about energy. It responds most effectively to calm, steadfast authority, like a vast river that flows softly. It possesses great power. Your quiet assurance is more potent than any amount of noisy striving. Practice her. Find a tranquil place where you may be alone. Sit comfortably and let your breath relax into its natural rhythm. When you're feeling centered, gently think the words calm, commands, and creativity. Observe how your silence spreads, affecting every part of your life with peaceful strength. Chapter 6. The Seeds of Attention. Cora lived in a village surrounded by ancient hills, and her mind was a garden filled with memories of previous defeats. Every morning, she would get up and tend to these bitter flowers, nurturing them with her attention until they became wild and dense, choking out any new growth. Remember the business that failed? She would whisper to herself, remembering the friendship that had wilted. And with each recollection, these memories grew stronger, casting longer shadows over her days. Like river running downhill, energy follows the patterns we make with our attention. Each thought you cultivate becomes a channel that attracts more of its sort. When you nourish the seeds of past failures, they grow, spreading their roots into the present instant until their vines entangle every new opportunity before it blooms. In the same community lived a merchant named Wilbur, who found another reality. Each evening, he would pause to reflect on the minor achievements of his day. A pleasant phrase was spoken. A task was completed. Well, a moment of tranquility in the midst of pandemonium. Initially, their accomplishments were modest, just droplets in an ocean of experience. However, as he continued to focus his attention on them, something remarkable happened. These modest victories began to multiply, attracting kin as readily as flowers do bees. The great law operates with faultless accuracy. Whatever you cultivate via your awareness gets stronger in your life. Your attention is the water that nourishes the garden of your experience. Every thought you have becomes a seed. Each focuses on a root system that extends deep into the soil, tapping into its potential. This wisdom has persisted through the ages. Energy moves where focus goes. The stories you choose to nurture will thrive, while those left untended will fade. You have this ability in every instant. The ability to choose which seedlings to cultivate with your valuable attention. An ancient practice. Each morning, as the sun rises, choose one blessing in your life. It does not need to be magnificent. The feeling of sunlight on your face, the flavor of fresh water, or the rhythm of your own breathing. Speak this blessing aloud 3 times, allowing each repetition to penetrate deeper into your awareness. Then, as you go about your day, allow this blessing to bloom like a flower unfolding its petals, filling everything with its fragrance. Chapter 7. The River's Bend. In a village where time appeared to stand still, there lived a woman named Leonardine. Every morning, she took the same way to collect water from the same well, conversing with the same neighbors, careful to maintain her life as consistent as the stone walls that flanked the streets. When merchants brought new items or tourists told stories of distant regions, she would close her windows tightly, as if novelty itself would disrupt her perfectly preserved environment. However, life, in its infinite wisdom, does not respect such bounds. When storm winds toppled the ancient well, familiar faces departed, and new homes arose. Where gardens had flourished, Leonard Dean's fixation on uniformity became a cause of increasing anguish. Each shift seemed like a personal betrayal. Each adjustment in her environment was a blow to her spirit. The universe communicates in the language of motion. It must flow to be pure, much like water and breath. It needs to migrate to survive. Resistance to change is, in essence, resistance to life itself. You cannot stop the flow of creation by planting your feet against it. Tears and sleepless nights can only add to your tiredness. Leonard Dean's fingers progressively relax from their grip on the familiar. At first, it was out of necessity rather than choice. Strong winds cause a tree to bend or break. During that surrender, she learned something unexpected. There is space to breathe. There is room to expand. In another town, a trader named Gerald discovered the same truth differently. After losing his wealth, he spent years trying to replicate his previous success, down to the exact store location and the same items. But riches eluded him until he finally let go of everything he'd lost. Gerald allowed himself to flow with new opportunities, adapting his skills to different markets and welcoming unusual collaborations. Prosperity returned not as a relic of the past, but as something new and dynamic. His willingness to change became the key that opened doors he never knew existed. What appears to be his loss is often the result of life, making room for larger gifts. What seems to be a disruption is often the universe's way of directing you toward growth and expansion. The energy of invention flows onward like a river that cannot go upstream. An ancient practice. Put your hand on your chest and repeat. I trust the river's bend. Feel how the current carries you. Find a peaceful moment and softly place your hand on your chest. Close your eyes and feel the steady rhythm under your palm. The endless river of life flows through you. Imagine yourself on a brilliant stream, carried smoothly by invisible currents of knowledge and compassion. Each turn in the recognized path leads you steadfastly to your best good. Rest assured that you do not need to regulate the waters. The river knows its course, and you are always transported exactly where you are supposed to be. Chapter 8. The Hidden Storehouse. A woman named Edna lived in a little coastal village with scattered fishing boats in the harbor. Every morning, she would balance her little savings, her shoulders heavy with the weight of scarcity. She would mutter, "There's only so much to go around." She watched others succeed while carefully rationing each blessing, convinced that life's abundance was running out. The law of energy recognizes no depletion, like sunlight illuminating 1,000 flowers without diminishing their beauty. Like the ocean, countless shells are filled without being emptied. The universe operates on an infinite supply. Your notion of scarcity is only a curtain drawn over boundless riches. Edna became aware of something unusual as time went on. Those who lived as if abundance were a natural state appeared to attract more of it with ease. A fisherman named Warren piqued her interest. Despite starting with a single boat, he faced each day with unwavering faith in providence. When others held back, thinking that the season's catch would run out, he went on with confidence. Warren would say, "The sea never empties. It provides and offers again." His conviction proved prophetic. Where others perceived limitations, he found new and fertile ground for exploration. When others hoarded their catches, he shared liberally, and his nets became fuller. His generosity appeared to be limitless. Each gift returned is multiplied. This truth has endured through the centuries. Energy responds to what you feel is possible, rather than what you wish. When you look at life through the prism of limitation, you see only what fits within those constraints. However, when you align with the infinite nature of creation, you create pathways for limitless good to flow. The universe functions as an everlasting spring, not a finite well. Every blessing provided makes room for others to enter. Every expression of richness attracts more prosperity. The universe's capacity to offer cannot be exhausted any more than its ability to create new stars. An ancient practice. Each night, quietly declare, I live in an infinite storehouse of good. Feel these words remove the illusion of limitation, exposing your consciousness to limitless supply. As you repeat the sentence, the curtain of limitation begins to thin. Imagine scarcity barriers falling, revealing enormous halls filled with light, treasure, and endless supply. Allow gratitude to rise as you fall off to sleep. For in this consciousness, you are not asking. You are remembering that everything you could ever need is already around you, waiting for your acknowledgement. Chapter 9. The sacred exchange takes place in a bustling marketplace where merchants exchange their goods and services. Floyd was a goldsmith. His hands were proficient in creating the best jewelry. However, his heart remained closed like an iron chest. Even though his purse was packed with coins, he grasped them so tightly that his knuckles turned white, fearing that sharing even a copper coin will result in destitution. When beggars approached his shop, he sent them away. When his apprentices demanded reasonable salaries, he offered the bare minimum. Riches must be protected. He would mumble just once, knowing it would never return. However, the more tightly he grasped his gold, the faster it appeared to slip through his fingers. His consumers became fewer. His reputation suffered, and despite his stockpiling, his money gradually diminished. The universe circulates indefinitely, just like blood flows through veins or water cycles via clouds and rain. When energy is obstructed, it must move to maintain vitality. It becomes stagnant. When unleashed, it multiplies. Agnes, a modest baker, worked in the same marketplace. Even though her loaves were modest, she generously provided a warm meal to a hungry child, an extra pastry for an old diner. Time spent teaching others about her craft. What flows out, she would explain, makes room for more to come in. To her surprise, she gave freely. Abundance came back through unexpected channels. A thankful pupil revealed a secret recipe that increased her sales. A consumer was so impressed by her kindness that she recommended her bakery to affluent merchants. Her charity sparked an unseen network of goodwill, which grew and returned to her. This is a timeless truth. Wealth, like air, must circulate to support life. The closed hand receives nothing fresh, whereas the open palm provides and receives. Your fortune grows not through worried hoarding, but by trustworthy circulation. Each act of giving creates waves that return with gifts. Each act of charity creates new opportunities for abundance to flow. Sharing does not drain your good, any more than sweeping your hand across the ocean will empty it. An ancient practice. Place a blessed penny in your palm and pass it to someone else. Or save it with intent, whispering what I give in return. Take a single coin or valuable token and place it in your hand. Feel its weight, however slight, as a symbol of limitless supply, condensed into shape. Close your eyes and speak a blessing to it. Imagine light streaming from your heart to the coin, charging it with increased energy. You may choose to pass it on in kindness or preserve it for your own precious purpose. Softly declare what I provide in return. Know that you've started a cycle. All giving is sowing, and all sowing yields multiple rewards. Trust that the universe is now transporting your seed to unseen fields of harvest. Chapter 10. The Voice Above Fear. Every human being carries ancient wisdom within their hearts. That which you fear the most becomes a beacon, attracting the same shadows you want to avoid. Dorothy's life was a perfect reflection of this fact. Living in a tiny cottage on the outskirts of town, she spent her days building tapestries of concern in her mind. Unfortunate events are undoubtedly approaching. She would mutter to herself, unintentionally creating ripples in the ethereal fabric of existence. Like attracts like. This myth has endured from time immemorial. Dorothy's constant attention to potential disasters served as a magnet, attracting situations that validated her anxieties. Her garden shriveled not due to a lack of water, but because she was afraid of failing. Her connections cooled not because of conflict, but because she expected to be abandoned. Every morning, she awoke to find additional evidence to corroborate her fears, unaware that she had paved the way for their coming. The cosmos responds not to our words, but to the energy beneath them. Fear has its own frequency, magnetic pull. When you focus on what could go wrong, you unintentionally build bridges that allow your dreaded possibilities to become a reality. Milton, a carpenter from across the valley, experienced this fact in reverse, learning to lift his mind toward faith after previously being anxious about his craft. He shaped each piece of wood. He began speaking with confidence. My hands understand their purpose. My work provides excellent service. Milton's inner dialogue changed, as did the milieu around him. Clients who previously questioned his rates now admire his craftsmanship. Tools that appeared to resist his touch. Now he went according to his intentions. His workshop, once heavy with uncertainty, is now filled with light and possibility, not because the world has changed, but because he has shifted the energy he sends into it. This truth has endured through the centuries. Fear obeys the law of quiet, dissipating as you remove your voice from the chorus. Love follows the law of voice, multiplying when you speak its language with conviction. The shadows that appear to stalk your way are not their own creations. They are echoes of the energy you have sent out. However, you can transform these shadows at any time using the alchemy of your attention. Ancient practice in the presence of dread. Say it aloud. I welcome safety. I release shadows. Feel the air shift as terror arises. Don't turn away. Stay present and breathe deeply into the moment. Place your awareness in the heart of your being with calm authority. Speak openly. As you speak, I welcome safety and release shadows. Feel the atmosphere around you begin to shift. The heaviness of fear dissipates like mist in the morning sun, and a calm strength starts to pervade the room. The air itself appears to move, conveying the sense that you are surrounded, supported, and protected by forces larger than fear. In this act, you don't fight shadows. You convert them with the light of your statement. Part 2. The Science of Inner Alchemy. Chapter 11. The Furnace of Belief. Within the endless dance of creation, a sacred truth awaits your discovery. Belief shapes the fundamental nature of existence. This understanding emerged as Lucille followed the paths of healing, but she was still bound by the chains she had created for herself. She would proclaim, I am always ill. These sentences were unknowingly forged into the architecture of her existence. Each statement of disease became an order to the universe, which faithfully reflected her conviction back at her. The law remains constant. Energy follows conviction with absolute fidelity. When you own your limitations, the universe cannot help but arrange events to reflect your declaration. It is not punishment, but rather the exact representation of your most deeply held beliefs in the domain of unlimited potential. Your beliefs serve as a mold into which formless energy pours, taking the shape of the container. The substance of life arranges itself based on your most deeply held convictions. A simple wish for health, prosperity, or joy is rendered ineffective when it is opposed by an underlying belief in its impossibility. Harvey's story clearly illustrates this principle. His business was on the verge of disaster. Rather than accept loss, he chose to plant a new belief in the fertile soil of his mind. Prosperity pours through my business. He would affirm, not in expectation, but in recognition of what he knew to be true. He did not overlook the challenges that awaited him. Instead, he changed his perspective on his situation. Harvey's belief in abundance grew, and the cosmos reshaped itself to reflect his conviction. New clients appeared, as if summoned, and solutions emerged from unexpected places. What others viewed as impediments, he regarded as stepping stones, precisely because his belief system did not allow for failure. The message remains relevant throughout history. Belief is more than just a concept. It is the basis on which your reality is built. It is the furnace in which intangible energy is transformed into tangible experience. Your beliefs are not mere observers of your life. They actively shape your fate. An ancient practice. Each night, I whisper firmly what I feel will manifest. Repeat until conviction warms you like a constant fire. Step into the silence every night before going to sleep. And let the day slip away. Like a faded echo, place your hand on your heart and whisper with solid confidence. What takes shape? Say that again and again, until the words cease to be sounds. but it is a living substance, shaping the invisible. With each repeat, you will feel your conviction grow stronger. Glows like a constant fire, warming the chambers of your soul. Rest in this flame, understanding that belief is the creator of reality. And that is what you declare in faith is already manifesting itself in the infinite. Chapter 12. Word structure. The patterns you create with words contain more power than you realize. Every speech sends waves across the fabric of reality, resulting in the very conditions you will encounter. This fact became apparent via Elsie, who inadvertently shaped her future through the stories she chose to tell, with each recital of her trials. Elsie reinforced the energetic template of hardship in her life. She used to claim that nothing ever worked out for me. And, as the ideal mirror of awareness, the universe must verify her assertion by contrived circumstances. Her words became seeds that sprouted exactly what she had planted. More challenges, more barriers, more evidence that life was really a burden. However, this same law contains the key to transformation. Your words are not simply descriptions of what is. They are directives addressed to the infinite. Instructions for what will be. Norman uncovered this secret concept and applied it with the precision of an artist, incorporating wealth into his daily talk, where he had previously spoken of poverty. He would comment, "I'm amazed at how opportunities keep finding me, even before evidence appears." The universe, ever actual to the vibrations you emit, began responding to Norman's new story. His casual references to ideal timing and infinite potential turned into self-fulfilling prophecies. Business contacts appeared in unexpected areas. Resources emerged exactly when they were needed. The fabric of his world altered to accommodate the new pattern. His words were weaving. This is not magic, but lore. As accurate as maths and as dependable as gravity. Your words convey frequencies that bounce outward, drawing energies that mirror your own. Every time you explain your life, you are not simply reporting. You are also shaping it. You're producing, commanding, and molding the energy that will shape your tomorrow. An ancient practice performed at sunrise. Whisper my words. Carve the road I take. Let your language reflect. Where do you want to stand? At the rise of the sun. Stand still and let the first light touch your spirit. In that sacred moment, recognize the creative potential that lies behind your voice. Every phrase you say is not a meaningless sound. It is a chisel that shapes the stone of reality. Speak with aim, allowing your language to bear the weight of destiny rather than the whims of habit. Allow your utterances to honor the life you wish to live, so that the ground ahead can rise to meet the pattern of your pronouncements. In this way, your dawn words become live architecture, guiding you into worlds that have already been prepared for you. Chapter 13. The Mirror Law. Clara, a merchant, used to reside in a bustling market town. Every day, she met nasty clients, animosity from other shopkeepers, and indifference from passers-by. The world gets harder. She'd lament, chronicling every slight, frown, and harsh word directed at her. Clara overlooked the harsh judgment in her own eyes as she observed others. Her thoughts were filled with sharp criticism, and her interactions were tinged with subtle disdain. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, just showed her what she envisioned. This truth remains forever. The outside world is a constant reflection of your internal condition. Every unkind thought you harbor results in an unkind gesture. Each judgment you cast is returned as judgment received. The law of reflection functions with mathematical precision, revealing exactly what vibration you emit. Homer, a wandering artist, suddenly came up with this idea. Living in numerous cities, he noted how strangers treated him differently each time. The pattern became evident to him only after he realized that his own mental state had varied from one locale to another. When fear or suspicion dominated his thoughts, the city appeared unfriendly and dangerous. However, when his heart opened with genuine warmth, even the most congested streets were filled with smiling faces and helpful hands, and the same areas transformed completely due to the energy he brought to them. Homer began a purposeful practice of radiating compassion as a genuine emanation from his core, rather than a cosmetic gesture. He smiled at strangers without expecting a response. He offered assistance without expecting a reward. He provided space for others' challenges without passing judgment on them. His world slowly changed. Shop owners recognized his name and offered their best products. Strangers stopped to tell their stories, even in the most impersonal settings. Warmth attracted him like a magnetic force. The teaching crystallizes your life experiences and accurately represents your inner vibration. When you see harshness all around you, look within. Look at your own dynamic broadcast and rehearse it every evening. Softly affirm, "What I perceive is what I radiate." Walk lightly through the reflection. Feel the honesty in these statements. Your inner perception isn't passive. It radiates forth. Dress your world in its image. As you travel into the night, carry yourself with gentle grace, knowing that every soulful glance transforms into a lantern. Each mirror you retain becomes the light you leave behind. Chapter 14. The circle returns to the calm areas of a tiny village. Ruth wielded criticism like a torch, exposing flaws in everyone she encountered. Her incisive tongue revealed defects in the baker's bread, the gardener's roses, and the seamstress's stitches. With each passing season, she observed that others were becoming harsher in their assessments of her job, appearance, and habits. The universe follows an unchanging law. Every energetic frequency returns to its origin, like a boomerang hurled into the cosmic winds. Each idea, word, and emotion concludes its journey by coming home. Ruth. Criticism sent like arrows returned as wounds in her own heart. However, this law applies to both benefits and hardships. Eugene, a modest carpenter, found this truth while living it. Each morning, he began to give silent blessings to anyone who crossed his path. He blessed the mail carrier's steps, the neighbor's garden, the stranger's smile. Soon, his life was filled with unexpected kindnesses. A helping hand when his card was reversed. An umbrella was provided in case of unexpected rain. A warm dinner was provided when he needed it the most. The circle stayed unbroken. Each blessing he sent was multiplied and returned to him, wrapping his days in golden light. His once silent studio became a gathering place for people seeking more than just his crafts, but also the warmth of his presence. The energy he sent into the world caused ripples that returned as waves of goodwill. This law acts with precision that exceeds human planning. You can't send for thorns and expect roses in return. The energy you release, whether through thoughts, words, or acts, must complete a circuit and be amplified by the enormous currents of universal law. When you grasp this concept, you can transform your entire experience. Every moment presents an opportunity to criticize or bless, condemn or accept, curse or praise. And that option contains the germ of what you will reap. Sacred practice. Breathe and claim that I only send what I welcome home. Feel the circle form at once. With these words, you activate the law of return by releasing ideas, feelings, and acts as seeds that will eventually find their way back. Imagine them circling outward, like dazzling ripples on quiet water, only to bend and return to your heart, carrying the same harmony you had unleashed. Feel the circle instantaneously become perfect, whole, and complete, reminding you that what you offer is the very thing that comes to life within you. Chapter 15. The Still Point. Marjorie's life was like a dispersed reflection in broken glass. Each fragment has a separate dream. She wanted a perfect painting one day, open a shop the next, travel overseas, write a novel, or study medicine. Her energy dissipated before it could take root, much like water thrown on desert sand. Energy obeys the law of conservation of energy wherever it exists in the universe. Just like sunlight. When your concentration via a lens gains the ability to ignite, your desires must concentrate at a single spot to manifest powerfully. Marjorie's divided focus left her with a slew of half-finished projects. It faded dreams, one draining vitality from the rest. The truth is unchanging. Energy flows wherever focus goes, yet split attention yields divided results. You cannot serve numerous lords and expect each to deliver their entire treasure. The universe responds to your focus rather than the quantity of your aspirations. Howard gained this lesson from personal experience. After years of pursuing various opportunities, he decided to focus all his efforts on one specific goal, creating a healing sanctuary. He resisted the impulse to divert his attention, even when alternative attractive avenues arose, like a laser cutting through uncertainty. His solitary devotion began to attract resources, people, and circumstances that coincided with his goals. This law works with mathematical precision. When you divide your energy across 10 desires, each receives only a tenth of your creative potential. However, pouring everything into a single jar causes it to overflow. The cosmos does not reward wishful thinking. Instead, it responds to consistent, focused intention. Your power rests in committing to a single authentic goal and remaining focused on it at all times. Allow all other wants to drift away, like autumn leaves. Knowing that serving one master totally means serving all parts of yourself. The cosmos organizes its forces to support your chosen path. Every day, practice holding one image and breathing deeply. Focus on it, murmuring at the still spot where everything gathers. Feel the reality of this. However, the scattered fragments of life bend toward the center. You establish that in this silence, the many become one, and what you hold with absolute clarity must manifest in the world around you. Chapter 16. The Fire of Emotion. Opal murmured affirmations quietly in her garden, as if she were a schoolchild learning lines. Day after day, she spoke ancient formulas. I am blessed. I am bountiful. I am whole. However, her comments fell flat like stones in a calm pond, causing ripples that dissipated without effect. Her lips moved, but her heart did not, and her circumstances remained the same. Here is a reality that goes deeper than words can express. The universe responds not to meaningless phrases, but to the live fire of emotion that they contain. When you speak of abundance without experiencing it, you are sending empty vessels into the cosmic sea. When you affirm health without feeling vitality rushing through your veins, it's like painting with watercolors in the rain. Your emotions are the divine flame that breathes life into every idea, speech, and purpose. They are a distinction between a map created in sand and one engraved in stone. The ancients recognized this when they spoke of quickening, that moment when simple thoughts become alive with power. Franklin realized this reality through his own awakening, in which, after mindlessly repeating his intentions, he learnt to fill each phrase with a whole range of emotions. When he spoke of riches, he allowed himself to feel the warmth of abundance rush through his body. When he declared success, he accepted the delight of accomplishment as if it had already arrived. His affirmations become living seeds, nourished by the fluids of emotion. Within days, his reality began to twist. Opportunities seemed to appear as if summoned by his emotionally charged thoughts. His business thrived. Relationships grew stronger, and life responded as if it had been waiting for the fire of his emotions to spark the improvements he desired. The law is eternally in motion, serving as the spark that ignites the universe. Your thoughts offer the structure, but your feelings provide the force without emotion. Affirmations, like unlit candles in the gloomy present, lack emotional potency. They become beacons, directing the forces of creation to your door. Sacred practice. Place your hands on your heart and repeat an affirmation with emotion until your spirit glows with it. Rest both palms over your heart and close your eyes, allowing your breath to settle into a natural rhythm as you begin to speak your chosen phrases. Allow them to rise not only from your thinking, but from the core of your existence. Feel the energy of each syllable as if it were weaving threads of light through your chest. Repeat your affirmation carefully, as if you're pouring it right into your bloodstream. Observe how the warmth spreads with each breath, transporting the words beyond mind and into sensation. The light begins quietly, as a gentle flicker of inner fire in response to your genuineness. Continue until the affirmation resembles a melody rather than a phrase. The body hums spontaneously. Remain in this silence for a time, trusting that the glow is your spirit rising to its true nature. When you eventually open your eyes, let that warmth permeate your actions, gestures, and decisions made during the day. The discipline is not only speaking, but also embodying what you have proclaimed. Chapter 17. The Image Inside. Lillian knelt in the shadows of her study every night. Hands were clasped in intense prayer. Her words reached up, praying for success. However, behind her closed eyes, visions of defeat played indefinitely. She pictured herself failing, falling, and losing ground. Her lips formed words of victory, while her imagination sculpted scenes of loss with unintentional accuracy, and hence reality. That loyal artist brought to life the scenes she dreaded the most. This section explains one of the most powerful principles of universal law. Your imagination acts as the architect's plan for everything that happens in your environment. Every image you hold becomes a template, a blueprint for energy to fill. The cosmos does not distinguish between an image born of fear and one born of faith. It just responds to the images you present. Your mind is more than just a theater of passing thoughts. It is a holy studio where reality is initially formed. The pictures you cultivate become the molds through which the formless energy of existence will flow. When you envision defeat while praying for triumph, you generate contradictory blueprints and energies. The devoted follow the stronger image. Virgil realized this when his company was on the verge of failure. Instead of focusing on the empty shelves and growing bills, he dedicated himself to creating a new vision. Each morning, he sat in his office, eyes closed, carefully crafting a successful image. He noticed a steady flow of people through his doors. Their faces show satisfaction. He felt the weight of affluence in his hands. He held this image so vividly that it became more real to him than his current surroundings. Within weeks, tiny changes began. A chance meeting resulted in a new supplier. An unforeseen opportunity created a new market. His firm was transformed not by external interference, but by the power of his unwavering inner vision. The cosmos matched what he had imagined. The law is unchanging. Imagination precedes manifestation. What you envision with constancy and feeling becomes the template for tomorrow. Your inner sight serves as the architect's pen, creating the blueprints for reality. Sacred practice every night involves creating one dazzling inner image and breathing life into it until it feels more real than the outward moment. Every evening, as the world quiets, close your eyes and invoke a single vision. One image that has meaning for you, whether for healing, abandonment, or peace. Hold it tenderly in your head, not as a distant dream, but as something intimately present. As you inhale, envision infusing vitality into this vision. And with each exhale, let it expand, growing brighter and more vibrant. Allow yourself to experience the weight of its truth as if it were already present within your hidden layers of being. Please take note of the details, colors, textures, sounds, and emotions that surround this inner image and allow them to take on dimension with a steady breath. Infuse it with warmth until the image feels real, throbbing with the rhythm of your own heartbeat. When the glow of this vision consumes you more than the outside world, stay in that space, trusting its calm strength. Understand that the line between idea and form is blurred here, and what you cultivate within becomes the seed of what you will experience outside. Carry this tiny awareness into your sleep, transforming it into a creative act. Chapter 18. The Hidden Covenant. Esther sat in a small room, surrounded by overdue bills, feeling the weight of solitude pressed on her shoulders. She spoke of dreams and hopes. A deeper voice inside whispered that she confronted life's issues alone. With each failure, she dug deeper within herself, erecting barriers against a universe she believed had abandoned her. Yet herein lies one of the most sacred truths about energy flow. You are never really alone. The universe is an eternal presence, a quiet companion in every instant of your trip, like the air that fills your lungs without your permission. This presence pervades all space and time, waiting only for your recognition. Understanding this concept reveals one of the fundamental rules of energy. Everything responds. Every thought you have, every feeling you cultivate, every word you speak causes waves in the invisible fabric of creation. These ripples return with gifts that reflect their nature. The universe does not make judgments or choices. It simply responds with the precision of a mirror that reflects light. Wallace found the truth during his darkest hour. His business had collapsed. His savings had vanished, and common wisdom urged him to flee. However, something changed when he started acting as if invisible hands were supporting his every step. He went about his days as if victory was guaranteed, as if help was around every corner, not with desperate hope, but with peaceful confidence. Phone calls began to arrive at the most convenient times. Chance meetings opened doors he didn't know existed. Resources came from unexpected places. It wasn't magical. It was the natural reaction of energy to his new interaction with it. By believing in the covenant, he activated its power. This covenant is not a contract to be signed, but rather a law to be followed. It operates whether you recognize it or not, but its full force is only realized through conscious collaboration. When you take a step forward, it appears as if you are supported, and when you move, you are steered. When you live as if richness surrounds you, it will present itself. Sacred practice and whisper, I am never forgotten. I'm always heard. Let the covenant breathe with you. In a moment of silence, lower your head slightly and murmur with a slow, deliberate breath. I am never forgotten. I'm always heard. Allow the words to settle deeply into your chest, as if they are being carved into your very soul. Feel how the rhythm of your breathing breathes life into the covenant. Every inhale, affirming your presence. Each exhalation relieves doubt. Don't rush. Linger with your voice, soft but certain, and note how the air around you appears to shift in recognition. The words are more than just statements. They are a reminder, a thread connecting you to the unseen, which is continually walking alongside you. With each repetition, your heart discovers the truth about its own belonging. Remain in this communion until the quiet itself becomes alive. I am holding you carefully. Take the covenant with you to work or rest, knowing that the act of whispering is intended for the everlasting listener within and beyond, rather than the world outside. In this way, your breath becomes prayer, and your prayer becomes evidence of an unbroken connection. Chapter 19. The Breath of Creation. Ida dashed from stall to stall in a crowded bazaar many years before. Her thoughts raced ahead, but her spirit trailed behind. Her days were a flurry of nonstop motion. However, actual development slipped from her grasp. Even though opportunity was all around her, she chose to ignore it. Caught in the tornado of her own haste, the ancient truth waited patiently within her the entire while. Breath is the link between spirit and matter, between intention and manifested passion. Every inhale brings in universal energy. Each exhalation shapes it based on your current state of being. This basic rhythm, often overlooked, has the potential to significantly impact your entire life. When you breathe shallowly and quickly, you disconnect yourself from the deeper currents of life, which support and guide you. Your energy scatters like leaves in the wind, unable to form meaningful patterns. When you breathe deeply and intentionally, you connect with the fundamental pulse of creation itself. Stanley acquired this insight amid a period of severe uncertainty. His investments had halted, his relationships were strained, and his route forward was foggy. One morning, while sitting in his yard, he watched how the flowers moved with each breeze. Neither resistant nor hurried, just in perfect harmony with life itself. At that moment, he began to breathe deeply, just like nature did, fully present. With each conscious breath, his thoughts cleared like a pond. Solutions arrived where he had previously only seen difficulties. People who could help him on his trip appeared in his path at the perfect moment. In these times of alignment, the science of breath becomes clear. It's not only about taking in air. It is about re-establishing your natural connection to the universal flow. Each breath is a declaration of your existence, a statement of your willingness to receive. The energy field around you responds by matching your rhythm and amplifying your wishes. This is the hidden power that you always carry with you. Your breath is both a compass and a key, guiding you onward, unlocking doors you didn't know existed. When you breathe consciously, you take command of the energy that creates your reality. Sacred practice. Inhale fully. Exhale slowly while silently announcing. Each breath generates. Take in a deep breath, allowing it to expand your chest and belly. As if you were gathering illumination from the invisible. Pause for a heartbeat and then slowly release it. Feeling the air leave you like a soft tide. Returning to the sea. Allow the silent declaration to rise with each exhalation. Create. Allow those words to resonate throughout your body, as if they are being transported by the movement of air. With each breath cycle, become aware of your actual position as a co-creator. Inhaling creates possibilities. Exhaling, you give form. The sentence becomes less an affirmation and more a law imprinted on your nature. Recognizing that every breath you take has an impact on your energy and life. Allow the beat to convince you that creation is not distant, but constant, moving through you with ease. Continue in this flow until the act of breathing feels like painting on an unseen canvas of the present moment. Notice how your body relaxes, your awareness settles, and your heart begins to glow with quiet authority. Carry this knowledge forward. Each breath you take is not just for survival. Genesis is a never-ending beginning. Chapter 20, The Kingdom Within. Pearl decked herself with accomplishments in the near future, dashing from one to the next. Her bookcases glittered with trophies. Numerous certificates hung on her walls. However, each new award provided only temporary satisfaction. Before hunger returned, like a tourist chasing the horizon, she discovered that external recognition lasted forever. One step forward, leaving her exhausted and unsatisfied. Here is one of the most sacred facts about energy mastery. The power you seek externally is already there within you. Just as a kingdom's actual strength comes from its internal resources, your genuine power stems from your own condition of being. When you seek validation outside of yourself, you give up your natural power over energy. The cosmos responds not to what you desire, but to what you represent. This is why people who appear to strain the least tend to attract the most. They found the royal secret of inner sovereignty. They recognize that energy is motivated by inside belief rather than external demands. Russell's experience exemplifies this principle perfectly. After years of striving for achievement, he took a break from the outside world to think on himself in peaceful moments. He began to experience the abundance of his own being. He recognized that completeness was a starting point rather than a destination. As he embraced these inner riches, the world began to reflect his interior state. Opportunities arose effortlessly, resources flowed naturally, and success appeared to follow him rather than the other way around. This reflects an old truth. The outer world must correspond to the inner kingdom. When you develop authority within yourself, external circumstances will automatically coincide with your internal state. This isn't magical thinking. It represents the accurate application of universal law. Energy responds to the signal you send from within. True power is not found in the demands you make, but in your inner domain, like a monarch in their throne room. You can most efficiently command energy from this central place. External pursuit without inner harmony is akin to attempting to rule a kingdom while constantly dashing through its streets. Authority is derived from the throne, not the marketplace. The spiritual practice of placing your palm over your heart and gently declaring, "The kingdom is within, and all power dwells there." Breathe into the inner chamber and envision it spreading like a light-filled sanctuary. Each inhalation feeds the flame of this inner realm, and each exhale removes the dust of uncertainty. You begin to realize that the strength, wisdom, and guidance you seek from outside actually exist here, waiting to be recognized. The power is neither distant nor conditional. It is part of who you are. Remain in this state of recognition until your body feels more stable and your spirit more brilliant. Carry the truth with you throughout the day. You do not go impotent or alone, for the kingdom you bear cannot be removed or lessened. You return to the seat of authority that has always been yours, each hand making a heartfelt gesture. Part 3. The Path to Mastery. Chapter 21. The Invisible Thread. In a remote village, Eleanor lived alone in a bit of a home, convinced that life had forsaken her. Every morning, she looked out her window and saw nothing but empty paths where she longed to see pleasant faces. Though her heart desired connection, her head believed she was distinct from the world's flowing currents. The reality lies in realizing that no soul is truly alone. Every thought, hope, and peaceful longing creates ripples in the fabric of life. These ripples, albeit unseen, develop patterns that attract like energy to one another. Gravity operates regardless of whether you perceive it. The law of connection operates indefinitely, organizing circumstances and bringing souls into harmony. When Eleanor eventually gave up her conviction in seclusion, the world reacted quickly. A neighbor appeared with fresh bread just as she was considering how to bake. A letter arrived from an old friend this morning. She had fantasized about them. Small coincidences evolved into significant patterns, revealing the invisible orchestration that had always been in place. Clarence's experience demonstrates this principle in action. Instead of forcing meetings or striving to make things happen, he would reinforce his trust in life's interconnectedness every morning. He just acknowledged the hidden connections that connect all things. Soon, his phone will ring with the exact number he needed. Conversations might spark ideas that solve long-standing difficulties. Resources appeared precisely when required, as if existence itself were conspiring to his advantage. This exemplifies the subtle power of recognition. When you recognize the invisible connections around you, they strengthen like a spider's web, capturing the morning dew. These thin strands become evident only when you're aware of their presence. Every person you meet, every situation you face, comes from this hidden network of energy. Your task is not to make these connections. They already exist. Your responsibility is to identify and trust them. As you agree with this reality, what appeared to be isolation transformed into a dance of impeccable timing and beautiful arrangement. The cosmos functions as a single, cohesive field, bringing together all the elements essential for your ultimate well-being. Sacred practice is a whisper, invisible to the eye. My ties strengthen. Feel the invisible thread. Weave around yourself as you repeat the phrase. Imagine an invisible thread extending from your heart. Delicate but unbreakable. Consider how it extends into areas you cannot reach. Towards loved ones. Toward unseen allies. Towards the larger web of reality itself. With each breath, the thread grows, weaving a pattern around you that radiates quiet resilience and compassion. The unseen becomes a palpable presence, as tangible as your own heartbeat. Rest in this awareness until you feel a soft, cocoon-like sense of connectedness around you. Trust that even in solitude, you are never disconnected from the living fabric of spirit, love, and belonging. Carry this recognition with you, allowing it to remind you that the most substantial ties are not always visible. Still, they persist and grow stronger each time you recall them. Chapter 22. The Master Key. Beulah lived in a little desert village with a yearning heart. Each morning, she would make lists of her desires. A blooming garden, stronger friendships. She received artistic distinction for her works. However, the more she concentrated on what was missing, the hollower her world became. Her garden wilted, her friends drifted apart, and her paintings gathered dust in corners. An ancient document referred to gratitude as the master frequency of creation, which marked a watershed moment. This revelation shook her foundation. Abundance comes not from wanting, but from thanking. That evening, Beulah began to express gratitude for her empty garden, as if it had already flowered. She expressed appreciation for friendships that had not yet formed. She blessed her unsold paintings as if they were already on gallery walls. Within weeks, a shift occurred. A neighbor provided uncommon desert blooming seeds. An art collector discovered her work by chance. New friends emerged, drawn to her radiant sense of gratitude. The global law reveals itself. Gratitude is not a response to receiving. The magnetic force attracts what you desire. It shifts your energy field from one of wanting to one of possessing. And in this transition, creation responds. This reality was perfectly expressed by Orville, an artisan who had lost everything in a fire. Instead of concentrating on his loss, he gave thanks every morning for the workshop he did not yet have, the instruments that had not yet manifested, and the clients who had yet to emerge. His thankfulness generated such a powerful energy field that his firm grew beyond its former grandeur in just a few months. Your current circumstances have no influence over the law of thankfulness. When you express gratitude to the universe for what appears to be absent, you shift the frequency of scarcity to one of plenty. This is not just positive thinking. It's the science of vibrational alignment. Gratitude before manifestation may appear counterintuitive to the untrained mind. However, this apparent paradox contains the key to mastery. By expressing gratitude for the unseen, you accept its existence in the spiritual realm, which draws it into physical manifestation. Every morning, as you wake up, sit quietly and recite these lines with genuine feeling. I'm grateful for what is happening now. Allow thankfulness to permeate your being until it pours into every cell. This technique, when followed with commitment, becomes the master key that unlocks all doors. Chapter 23: The Radiance of Service. In a small coastal community, Winifred spent her days searching for new opportunities. Her hands were constantly reaching out to claim what she believed was rightly hers. Each morning, she would chant affirmations of abundance while clutching her desires close to her bosom, wondering why the cosmos ignored her pleas. The fact that escaped her was simple but profound. Energy must flow freely, much like the tides that swept the shore near her home. In her desperate clasp, she produced resistance, impeding the same flow she wished to capture. The universe, in its great wisdom, responds to open hearts rather than grasping hands via the timeless rules that govern all of creation. We recognize that helping others generates an expanding area of energy. When you focus your attention on boosting others, you tap into the larger current of global prosperity. This is not just charity. It is the science of energy multiplication. Lloyd, a talented craftsman, discovered this truth via experience. Rather than chasing clients or negotiating better costs, he began openly sharing his knowledge with the young apprentices. He provided advice to those who couldn't afford his services, teaching them how to repair their own items rather than depleting his firm's resources. This kindness generated ripples of goodwill, which returned as a tide of prosperity. His expertise quickly became known throughout the neighborhood. Those who could afford his services looked him up directly, drawn by the genuine energy he had generated via his generosity. His income rose and then tripled. However, this was secondary to the tremendous satisfaction he experienced in helping others. The message is clear. Energy flows where attention goes, but it multiplies where service glows. When you let go of the desire for selfish wealth and use your talents to benefit the larger good, you are aligning with the natural law of increase. This is not a sacrifice. It is intellectual cooperation with universal principles toward your own talents, whatever they may be. Have the same potential for multiplication. When you shine your light for others, it reflects back, magnified. This is the paradox of spiritual abundance. What you give freely yields abundantly. It's an ancient ritual to find a calm moment as the sun rises. Place your hands over your heart and mumble, "I shine for others. I shine for myself." Allow this truth to settle into your being, knowing that while you serve, you will flourish. Chapter 24: The Gate of Forgiveness. In a tranquil community surrounded by beautiful hills, Hazel carried her scars as if they were beautiful stones, refining them daily with terrible recollections. Each snub, every treachery, each harsh phrase became a weight in her spiritual treasure, accumulating with each passing season. She believed that her grievances protected her. However, they acted as chains, tying her energy to prior events. The global law speaks clearly. Energy trapped in previous pain cannot serve fresh joy. When you cling to past hurts, you anchor yourself to their frequency, resisting the natural flow of life that attempts to carry you forward. These grudges become personal prisons, with walls made of recalled anguish and reinforced by repeated attention through the knowledge of ages. We understand that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness. It is power in its most pure form. To forgive is to release repressed energy and allow it to flow anew in its natural pattern. This reality was well reflected in Clifton's path. For years, Clifton had held on to the memory of business associates who had betrayed his trust, costing him his life savings. He used this story as a shield, justifying his seclusion and distrust. However, as he looked in the mirror one morning, he realized that this load had caused him to age beyond his years. At that point, he chose relief over righteousness. Clifton felt lighter after each conscious act of forgiving. The energy previously expended on resolving past complaints now flowed freely into new enterprises. Former colleagues, noticing his new spirit, sought his advice. Opportunities appeared as if by magic, yet they were actually the natural result of released energy finding its proper path. Forgiveness functions as a spiritual rule. What you release from others, you also release from yourself. The master key unlocks both sides of the jail door. Your grievances may feel reasonable. Indeed, they frequently are. But rationalization doesn't make the chains any lighter. An ancient practice. As twilight comes, seek a tranquil spot. Breathe deeply and softly. Repeat, I set off unfettered. And so am I, set free. Feel the weight of past frustrations lift with each breath, allowing fresh energy to flow where stagnant pain previously existed. In Chapter 25, The Secret Name, in the center of a bustling market, Leona stood among the crowd, feeling small and invisible, even though her hands had the same ability to change reality as anybody else. She had been calling herself insignificant for so long that energy merely reinforced her idea. With each murmured word, I realize I can't and am insufficient. She created a web of confinement around her spirit. Ancient wisdom expresses a profound reality. The titles you give yourself serve as directives to the global powers. Energy's limitless intellect answers not to what you want to be, but to what you name yourself to be. Your self-definition serves as a mold into which reality must pour itself. When you say, I am weak, that reality is manifested via the alignment of energy. When you say, I am strong, the same forces rush to affirm the truth. This is not just positive thinking. This is the fundamental law of energetic alignment. The cosmos only knows you by your given names. Leona's change began when she questioned her self-imposed titles. Standing in front of her mirror one morning, she spoke a new name into existence. I am strong, despite her trembling voice. Energy responded immediately to this new order. Within days, opportunities emerged that drew out her buried strength. This reality was expressed equally throughout Grover's journey. For years, he had worn the victim's name like an old, familiar garment. However, when he dared to brand himself a creator, the entire fabric of his reality began to change. His faltering business found new ways to succeed. His formerly complex connections were altered by his increased sense of self-authority. The power of naming operates indefinitely. Each thought that begins with I am creates waves in the energetic field, attracting similar circumstances into your life. This is why past masters were so careful about their self-definition. Knowing these divine names influenced their destiny. Practice an ancient tradition or find a quiet place to be alone. Stand tall. Place your hand on your heart. Speak with calm authority. My hidden name is power. Allow this declaration to echo throughout your existence, until you feel the truth in every cell. Teresa walked through her days in a little cottage surrounded by ancient trees, her forehead wrinkled. Despite being endowed with talents and opportunity, she carried each work as if it were a burden, unconsciously pushing away the very riches she desired. Her shoulders hunched under an invisible weight. Her voice had the tone of someone who anticipated hardship at every turn. The cosmic rule manifests itself with crystal clarity. Joy is not just an emotion. It's a magnetic force that draws creation to you. When you approach life with gravitas, you indicate to the universe that you are ready for its offerings. Energy responds perfectly to this frequency, providing you with more encounters that align with your serious vibe. Each grin, moment of delight, and burst of laughter causes ripples in the field of unlimited possibility. These ripples return when the circumstances fit with your joy. This is why those who walk lightly frequently find prosperity in their laps, but those who trudge seriously wonder why abundance eludes them. This reality was perfectly expressed, as was Chesterfield's change, in which he learnt to infuse each moment with playful appreciation, after previously approaching his task with firm resolve. His change in manner was more than just a cosmetic adjustment. Chesterfield accepted joy, which transformed the frequency with which he broadcast to the universe. Remarkable shifts happened. Business ties evolved effortlessly, new solutions emerged spontaneously, and his health improved. He realized that serious effort was not the key to manifestation. Success came easily to him because of his lightness of being. The ancient teaching remains. Joy is a catalyst for achievement rather than the end result. When you choose joy, you are aligning with the universe's inherent condition of expansion, creation, and delight in its own manifestation. This alignment acts as a beacon, attracting experiences that match your higher vibration. Sacred practice involves standing in front of a mirror. Allow your face to relax into a genuine smile and express your excitement with gentle power. I am magnetic. Feel the truth. Lift your entire being, knowing that your happiness is attracting endless good to you. Chapter 27. The Crown of Silence. In the midst of a bustling city, Maud excitedly shared her dreams with anyone who would listen. Every morning, she reaffirmed her resolve to change her life, proclaiming her ambitions for success at social gatherings and casual conversations. However, with each telling, her vision appeared to lose its life, becoming mere wisps of what it once was. The more she talked about them, the more they slipped through her fingers like water in cupped palms. The universe communicates in whispers, not in shouts. When we scatter our spiritual aspirations to the winds, we weaken their power. Each premature sharing diverts energy away from the center of creation, decreasing the magnetic pull that draws manifestation closer. Fletcher realized this reality through his own voyage into the silent recesses of his mind. He nurtured his visions like fragile plants in fertile soil. He held his dreams close to his heart, shielding them from the harsh winds of doubt and criticism that frequently greeted emerging reality. In this sacred solitude, his ambitions took root and grew stronger. Your most profound transformations begin in stillness. The ancient sages understood that power resides in the depths of silent contemplation. When you keep your visions in the sanctuary of your own heart, they gain strength unhindered by the opinions and energies of others. This is not about secrecy motivated by fear, but by knowledge. Just like a seed requires darkness before breaking through to light, your intentions require a period of calm gestation. The silent crown of self-containment forms a protective field around your budding dreams, allowing them to gain pace unhindered. When Fletcher felt compelled to speak of his emerging journey, he instead focused that energy inward, solidifying his visions and foundation. He soon noticed that reality began to conform to his silent expectations, with no fanfare or announcement. His change was self-explanatory and required no herald. The law remains constant. What is protected in quiet gains power. Your visions do not require external confirmation to become a reality. They get their strength from your peaceful conviction, the steady focus you keep in the sacred place of your own mind. The ancient practice of seeking a calm moment before daybreak. Sit in complete silence and consider just what is hidden. Grow stronger. Allow this truth to permeate your being without words. Feeling the unseen crown of quiet. Strengthening your intentions. Allow the force of wordless creation to fill you entirely. Chapter 28. The Bridge of Light. And in innumerable instances, Genevieve stood before her dreams as if facing an unbridged chasm. Every time she wished for change, her mind whispered impossible, and she remained rooted where she was. Like many before her, She saw only the distance between where she was and where she wanted to be. However, this golden truth can be found in the treasury of universal law. Visualization is not a fantasy. It is the architect's blueprint, providing the groundwork for the unseen. When Genevieve finally comprehended this notion, she began to see her imagination as hallowed territory where futures first emerge. The power of visualization is manifested through light and feeling. When you hold a vision steeped in the brightness of possibility, you are not dreaming. You're building. Every time you return to this vision with faith, you strengthen the bridge structure in the realm where everything begins. Horace found this principle while encountering seemingly insurmountable problems at work. Instead of focusing on difficulties, he began to spend quiet times imagining answers with crystal clarity. He imagined himself going through difficulties with ease. In his thoughts, he sees fresh paths opening up ahead of him. To his surprise, events began to align with his inner images, as if reality itself was adhering to the blueprints he had created in his mind. Your imagination is not distinct from the universe. It is the universe expressing itself through you, demonstrating what is possible before it takes physical existence. When you envision with faith, you are not pretending to be part of creation's first transition from formless to form. The bridge of light you create in consciousness becomes the path your feet will take in the physical world. This is not a metaphor, but a mechanism, the law by which the unseen becomes visible. Your clear, steady vision creates ripples in the realm of unlimited possibilities, crystallizing new realities from pure potential. An ancient practice. Locate a tranquil area and close your eyes. Imagine yourself going on a bridge composed of pure light, which leads to your heart's desire. Feel the strong foundation under your feet. See the brilliance that illuminates your way. Smile sweetly, knowing you are already present in the place where everything begins. Allow this vision to fill you with serene confidence. Chapter 29, The Everlasting Flame. Each morning, Sylvia sat in her garden in a little mountain village, hoping to realize her desires. Some days, she felt the power burst through her like lightning, while on others it seemed to desert her entirely. With each passing week of variable outcomes, her faith weakened, and her practice became mechanical and hollow. Your strength does not change with the weather. It burns perpetually within a sacred flame that never entirely fades. What appears to be volatility is actually your awareness sliding in and out of alignment with this continual power. When you believe your energy is intermittent, you misinterpret its nature. The sun continues to shine through the clouds. It remains unchanged and dazzling. Similarly, your inner force remains present regardless of how strong you perceive it to be. Carlton, a craftsman from the Western Shores, initially thought his capacity to produce came in spurts of inspiration. He would wait for these times, allowing his workshop to collect dust in between sparks of inspiration. But his intelligence grew within him. He noticed that the creative force flowed continuously. His attention to it had been inconsistent. He began to treat his power as an immortal presence, caring for it daily, much like a sacred hearth fire. He no longer waited for inspiration, but instead worked with unwavering dedication, knowing that the flame of creation was always burning within. Soon, his crafts took on new life, and buyers remarked on the magic they felt flowing from his creations. This reality transcends the specific times of manifestation. It is the cornerstone of your spiritual autonomy. The power that flows through you is not a relightable candle, but an immortal sun at the center of your being. It only needs your awareness and undivided attention to shine brightly. Once you comprehend this principle, persistence becomes natural. You no longer seek power or wait for it to return because you know it never went. Instead, you tune in to what is already flowing, as if you were learning to sense your own heartbeat. Ancient customs sit quietly in the evening. Place your palm over your heart center and speak these words with firm conviction. My flame will never go out. Allow this truth to sink into your bones until you feel the warmth of your inner fire radiating throughout your entire body. Chapter 30, Energy Without End. In a crowded market, Gertrude grasped her pennies tightly, counting them repeatedly. Each purchase caused concern. Each expense aroused concern that tomorrow will bring emptiness. She lived as if the universe had a finite quantity of good, and she shared her joy as if it, too, would go with the setting sun. This sense of limitation occurs only in the mind, not in the enormous ocean of universal energy that surrounds you like a wave, believing it will deplete the sea. This dread originates from losing your connection to the infinite source of all existence. The truth is unchanging. Energy cannot be exhausted. It can only be transformed. It circulates in unending cycles, recreating itself with each exchange. When you let go of the grip of scarcity, you connect with this endless current. Alvin, a trader who formerly shared this worry, unexpectedly found this wisdom. Each night, he would tally his day's gains with shaky hands, convinced that success would forsake him at any time. But one morning, as he gazed at the rising sun, knowledge dawned on him, just as the sun's radiance never dimmed. Despite providing ceaselessly, life's abundance has no end. He stopped hoarding resources and began to move in accordance with the natural flow of life. His business thrived not because he clutched more tightly, but because he trusted in the never-ending flow. What appeared to be endings became doors to new beginnings. This training serves as the foundation for mastery. There is no finish line in the universe, no moment at which energy stops its eternal dance. What appears to end simply changes shape, as water transitions from a stream to a cloud to rain. Recognizing this fact brings you into alignment with the endless tide of creation. Living in this awareness allows you to let go of the burden of shortage and glide through life with the ease of someone who understands that supply is limitless. Your role, like the stars above, is to align with the ever-present flow of energy rather than to manufacture it. An ancient practice. Place both hands over your heart in the early morning silence. Take long breaths and affirm with soft assurance. I live in an infinite source of energy. Allow this truth to seep into your being until you feel yourself is one with the endless stream of life. You have now reached the threshold of understanding, having passed through the gates of ancient wisdom. The journey through these teachings has revealed that energy, the unseen element that pervades all creation, communicates in the whispering language of thought, breathes in the rhythm of intention, and passes via the channels of concentrated awareness. You've seen in each parable and concept how energy responds to alignment, not force, but rather tolerance. You've seen how those who resist its flow remain locked in patterns of scarcity, whilst those who learn to dance with its currents are swept to shores of abundance that they could never have reached by swimming alone. As you now realize, energy regulation is about discourse rather than dominion. It is the gentle art of becoming fluent in the universe's native dialect, the language of vibration, resonance, and intentional creation. Each idea you have, every word you say, and every emotion you cultivate becomes a node in this cosmic symphony. These lessons are more than just theories. They are living wisdom that must be embraced, just as water shapes stone. The constant application of these principles converts potential into manifestation. Every breath you take provides an opportunity to practice this precious knowledge. Every moment, a chance to connect more profoundly with the endless current that runs through everything. Allow these facts to settle not only in your mind, but also in your bones. Feel them pulsate together with your heartbeat. Flow with your breath. The strength you seek has always been within. These teachings merely pulled aside the curtain. As you go forth, carry this insight not as knowledge to share, but as light to live for your silent domination. The truth will speak through the very fabric of your transformed being, and you will move forward knowing that boundless and eternal energy awaits your conscious participation in the dance of creation. If you enjoyed this unique audiobook, I have handpicked the next book that will alter your life.